Hello, I'm a man who married a woman a year my senior. We've been married for 6 years now. I've been living with my mother-in-law for 5 years, and over the past few years, our relationship has become quite special. It's been an unexpected journey, but I'm truly satisfied with how things have turned out. My wife was my mentor when I was new at my job. She was a respected associate at the company, always kind to me. Whenever I made mistakes, she would gently guide me, and it was after one such instance that I confessed my love for her. We started dating and got married in our early 30s. Her father was an executive at the company, a founding member, and their family was quite affluent. We split our wedding expenses and lived close to our workplace in a home filled with helpful appliances like a styler, a robot vacuum, and a dryer to ease our busy lives. My wife was always ambitious about her work, and her dedication, knowing she was the boss's daughter, was incredibly attractive. We discussed having children and agreed not to try too hard if it didn't happen naturally. Our life together was comfortable, though. Her excessive workload often meant we couldn't enjoy our newlywed phase to the fullest. She would come home exhausted, sometimes falling asleep without even removing her makeup. Her father lived nearby, and we would spend weekends with him and my mother-in-law, enjoying meals out or receiving fresh groceries from them. He understood his daughter well, suggesting we take a break from work for a date, which always seemed to clear her head. He was a caring man. My mother-in-law is a beautiful woman, looking at least 10 years younger than her peers, with flawless skin and a fit figure. Unfortunately, her husband passed away from a heart attack in our first year of marriage. They had seemed like the perfect couple, and she appeared to have lived a cherished life with him. Unlike my more reserved and patriarchal father, her husband was involved in household duties and showed her great affection. After his passing, my wife suggested we live with her mother. As a way of giving back to the woman who had always loved us, we moved in with her, and I have a friend in a similar living arrangement who praises the benefits, especially in how it allows them to focus on work while their children are well cared for. Reflecting on it, I'm curious if my friend feels as satisfied with the arrangement as I do. Overall, I'm very pleased with our decision. My wife has always been a fast climber in her career, often staying late at work and frequently traveling for business. Naturally, this means her salary is quite generous. When we were dating, it wasn't unusual for her to take a business trip at least once a week. These trips could last from a couple of nights domestically to up to a month abroad for international trips. Given the nature of her job's demands, I've found myself wondering how to spend my time when she's away. Should I stay at my parents' house? Or how should I navigate those periods with my mother-in-law? Speaking of my mother-in-law, in her mid-50s, is an avid swimmer, hitting the pool every day. She believes swimming is the best exercise, especially during menopause, so she's up at dawn to swim with friends from the neighborhood. After her swim and shower, she's back home, making a warm breakfast, which reintroduced me to having the first meal of the day since my school days. Initially, it felt a bit much, but adjusting the portion made me feel full and satisfied, a stark contrast to skipping breakfast and struggling to concentrate until lunch. Nights after department dinners, I'd wake up to find chicken soup prepared for breakfast. Living with my mother-in-law has its perks. We regularly visit my father-in-law's memorial, followed by trips to the bustling downtown for some shopping. She is incredibly tidy, always cleaning or organizing, even during phone calls, never one to sit still. Whether it's cooking, crocheting, or making natural detergents, she's always up to something. One day, I told her to take a break, to which she replied that staying inactive made her miss her husband more, leading to tears, so she keeps herself busy. My wife's rigorous schedule meant we hardly lived like a typical couple, which I deeply regret. She would come home exhausted, lacking sleep, and I did my best to ensure she could rest comfortably. The inability to spend quality time together gradually built up my frustration. One summer day, after a lunch outing with colleagues, I came home early without informing my mother-in-law, catching her off guard as she came out of the shower. Surprised, she quickly retreated back to the bathroom, and I, feeling embarrassed, loudly apologized for not calling ahead. Later, she cut some watermelon for me, asking if it was just me who came home early. I replied that my wife was swamped with work and would be home late. After enjoying a slice of watermelon, I took a shower, reflecting on the day's unexpected turn of events. When my mother-in-law is alone, she prefers to cool off with a fan to save on electricity. But after I showered, I noticed she had turned on the air conditioning to make things comfortable for me. Seeing her without makeup made me realize how much I might have misunderstood her. It wasn't until the evening that I emerged from her room that day. Initially, she was apprehensive, asking, "Is this okay for us?" But then she smiled. From that day on, she has taken even greater care of me. When my wife decides to sleep in over the weekend, the two of us go out, allowing her to rest properly. My mother-in-law enjoys shopping, so we often spend time browsing at malls. And sometimes we even drive out to the suburbs for specific errands. She often wonders aloud if she, as a widow, deserves such luxury, to which I always respond, "Of course you do. Don't worry about it." My wife appreciates how well we get along and thanks me for taking good care of her mother. Then, an opportunity arose for me to go on a business trip to Europe for 2 months. Without prior discussion, my wife applied. She was going with a single colleague of a similar age, and although I was sad, I supported her decision. We talked every afternoon, adjusting for the time difference. And during this period, I stayed with my mother-in-law. She knew it was somewhat unconventional, but admitted she enjoyed our company. When we first started spending time together, we couldn't part with the bedding my father-in-law used, as she wanted to keep his scent around. But after some time, she bought new bedding, wanting to start anew with me. Her innocence and desire not to be alone were so endearing. One day, she joked, "It's wrong for a daughter to neglect her son-in-law," but it turned out well for me. My mother-in-law, who lived her life, knowing only my father-in-law, says she's discovered a new world through me and often hums happily. She made me promise not to look at other women, which I assured her wouldn't be an issue, and embraced her tightly. When my wife returned from Europe, it was as if we were reconnecting for the first time. Life got busy again, but I continued to get along well with my mother-in-law. I have a lot of energy, but she keeps up with me, surprisingly youthful for her age. It's been 5 years now, and she's much happier. She tells me how grateful she is for a son-in-law like me, making me feel guilty for not being able to give my wife a child yet. We've decided to wait another year before trying for a baby, believing that a relaxed state of mind might help. But even so, Our current life feels quite fulfilling. The three of us are very happy together.